All right, let's dive right into this highly anticipated round of 16 World Cup explainer. We are looking at a knockout bracket that's delivering us an absolutely fantastic fixture. Portugal taking on Spain. I mean, it's a matchup completely steeped in geographic rivalry, totally contrasting styles, and just an enormous amount of pressure. So today, we're going to break down exactly where this game will be won and lost. Because really, here is the ultimate question we're unpacking today. The winner of this massive heavyweight clash goes on to face either Belgium or the US. Just think about the stakes for a second. For either of these elite squads, getting knocked out at this stage, it would be viewed as a catastrophic failure. But, one of them has to go home. The path to the semifinals is crystallizing, and whoever survives this tactical gauntlet is going to carry immense momentum forward. Now, Spain enters this matchup as the slight favorites, and for good reason, especially after their classic, dominating style was on full display against Croatia. What we saw from the Spanish side was just a brilliant return to form. It was a performance that reminded everyone of that vintage, suffocating Spanish possession game. They grabbed the game by the scruff of the neck, dominated the ball, and totally picked their opponents apart. Because of that absolute masterclass, and because Portugal actually showed some wobbly moments when Croatia pressured them, the pendulum of expectation is definitely swinging slightly toward the Spanish side.
But wait, you absolutely have to consider this staggering number, 0. That is exactly how many goals Portugal has conceded so far in the entire tournament, proving they are a literal defensive fortress. Honestly, it's incredibly easy to get swept up in Spain's beautiful passing game and completely overlook this glaring fact. You can have all the possession in the world, right? But if you can't break down the wall in front of you, it means nothing. Portugal might have had some vulnerable moments, sure, but at the end of the day, their defense has been completely impenetrable up to this point.
Okay, moving on to Section 1, the midfield engine room. So the crucial point here is how the PSG-style possession of Vitinha and Neves will attempt to grab a grip on the game against Spain's traditional midfield dominators, Rodri and Pedri. Neither of these teams are comfortable sitting back in a low block. They both want the ball, and they both want it back instantly when they lose it. Now, Vitinha and Neves are used to completely dictating the tempo at PSG, but doing that against Rodri and Pedri, guys who are true maestros of controlling the middle of the park, that is a distinctly different, much harder task. Honestly, the team that imposes their will right here is going to dictate the entire rhythm of the match. Which brings us to Section 2, the Bruno Fernandes factor. Even though he was completely shut out against Croatia, Bruno Fernandes' ability to receive the ball from Vitinha and Neves and distribute it forward will dictate Portugal's entire attack. Look, against Croatia, we didn't see the Bruno we all expected. He practically didn't exist in that match, to the point where he was even subbed off early in the second half. But against Spain, his role becomes absolutely paramount. Vitinha and Neves are going to be busy handling the heavy lifting defensively and transitioning the ball. The ultimate test is what Bruno does once he gets it. If he can intelligently drift and find himself free in those dangerous little pockets of space between Spain's midfield and defensive lines, he has the vision to completely unlock this game. Next up, Section 3, the wide area chess match. We seriously have to ask if Portugal's blistering wingers can exploit the vast open space left behind by Spain's heavily attacking fullbacks, specifically guys like Porro and Cucurella. We know Spain loves to push their fullbacks incredibly high up the pitch to just overwhelm the opposition, but doing that leaves vast acres of grass completely unprotected in the back. Plus, we saw Portugal's Nuno Mendes get skinned a couple of times recently. So, what does this all mean? It means these wide channels are going to be absolute war zones of overlapping runs and rapid counterattacks. And this brilliantly illustrates the tactical juxtaposition for Roberto Martinez and his whole horses for courses strategy. Does he unleash the pace of Leão and Neto like he did against Croatia, or does he play it safe and defend the Spanish overlap? Martinez is famous for this. Against a slow Croatian defense, he brilliantly deployed Leão and Neto out wide, and they just skipped past the fullbacks for fun. But Spain presents a terrifying dilemma. Does he use that same blistering pace to terrify attacking fullbacks like Porro and Cucurella into staying pinned back in their own half? Or actually, is he too worried about Spain's forward momentum, which might force him to bench his speedsters for more defensive wide players who will reliably track those Spanish runners all game long? That wide area dilemma perfectly sets up Section 4, managerial mind games. Talk about a stark contrast. Roberto Martinez is known to constantly adapt to his opponents and maybe overthink his setups, whereas Spain is entirely rigid and will stubbornly play their own game no matter what. Spain is literally like a relentless machine. You know exactly what they're going to do, but stopping them? Yeah, that's the hard part. They will step onto the pitch and dictate their classic possession style.
Roberto Martinez, on the other hand, will look at the Spanish threat and attempt to shapeshift his entire Portuguese side to neutralize them. He'll adopt, he'll tinker, and he'll completely alter his team's identity to fit the specific challenge right in front of him.
I absolutely love this pundit observation. It perfectly captures the sheer anxiety of Martinez's tactical tinkering when compared to the cool, unbothered consistency of the Spanish sideline. You can just picture him, right? Up at 3 a.m., moving a little markers around a tactics board, completely obsessing over whether to play a high line, use defensive wingers, or try to choke out Rodri. It's an incredible mental burden. But hey, if Portugal can knock out a team seated above them and go toe-to-toe with this Spanish giant, it will be a massive feather in Roberto Martinez's cap, silencing his biggest critics for sure.
Finally, let's wrap up with Section 5, the verdict. So, looking at these expert predictions, there is a striking consensus on a Spain victory here, culminating in Craig's wildly specific prediction of a 4-2 extra-time thriller. All three pundits, Kieran, LeBoeuf, and Craig, are heavily backing the Spanish machine to advance. Kieran sees a tight, controlled 2-1 victory settled within 90 minutes. Then you have LeBoeuf, who actually ranks Spain as his second favorite team in the entire tournament right behind France. He predicts a slightly higher scoring 3-2 affair. But it's Craig who envisions total chaos, predicting the teams will be locked at 2-2 at the end of normal time, before Spain ultimately runs away with it in an exhausting, brilliant extra-time classic. So I'll leave you with this final thought to ponder before kickoff. Can the impenetrable fortress of Portugal, combined with Martinez's obsessive tactical adaptations, actually shatter the dominant rhythm of Spain? It's the ultimate test of meticulous preparation versus uncompromising style. Pay really close attention to that midfield battle early on, but ultimately ask yourself, when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object, who breaks first? Enjoy the match.